Welcome to the Dawg and Gus show.
What's up, Doug?
Not much, Gus. You?
Not much. We've got a great guest tonight.
Oh, certainly do.
Yeah, we got Charlie Kerr from the Hotel Mira.
Hotel Mira.
It's not the Hotel Mira.
It's Hotel Miras.
Yeah. We did like that. We're not going to get into that one.
No, okay, fine.
Yeah. Anyways, Charlie, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
So, you're in LA right now? Or are you on tour?
I'm in Calgary on tour.
Oh, nice.
Calgary.
Yeah, they're kind of touring around. They're going to end up in Ottawa at the end.
At the end?
Yeah, February 18th.
The last show?
Club Saw, that's right.
Club Saw.
So where did the band obviously formed in the West Coast, but like were you guys high school buddies? Did it kind of come together after high school? How did it kind of work out? Because you've been together since about 2013. Does that sound about right?
Sort of. That's not the whole story. Like, the original lineup of the band sort of met in high school. But technically, me and Mike did meet at a Battle of the Bands in high school. But it wasn't until long after that I started playing with him professionally in Hotel Mira. I'd say this group of musicians started making music together as Hotel Mira in like 6 years ago.
Oh, okay, cool. So was there like a different group prior to that?
Yeah. We did two and a half records with my three friends from sort of the neighborhood.
Okay, cool. Nice.
That was I can't remember. I wrote it down. I don't know where I wrote it. Yeah, I wrote it down because I know that there was other bands before Hotel Mira.
Yeah, we all played in bands our whole lives. This is just the one that we all sort of committed to and found success in.
Okay. Like there was one, was it Japanese Girls? Was that
yeah, that was the one I sung for. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And in Hotel Mira, are you the lead singer?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I wrote songs for both. Yeah.
Okay.
So what was your first experience with music, if we could go back a little?
As far as I can remember, there's probably something before this, but I remember being really into comedy, and like the Hanukkah song by Adam Sandler stands out to me as something I really loved. I sang it for my class in the fifth grade, and it went over so well that they let me sing it for a different class in the same school because they got such a kick out of it. And then that's sort of when I started playing guitar, and about 6 months after that, I got my first paid professional gig in a Beatles cover band.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's
from the Hanukkah song to the Beatles.
Yeah, it's a
natural transition.
I think that's normal.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I mean, sort of, but I remember that album too, and I think the Goat Boy was the one that stood out to me. I don't remember if it was the Hanukkah song, but
Goat Boy.
Adam Sandler. That album's hilarious. It was a really good show. That's cool. I appreciate you going back that far with us. So like, who would be your musical influences? Like obviously Adam Sandler is one of them, but going forward, like,
really just the Sandman. I haven't really listened to music since. No.
Okay. Well, that was a quick conversation.
We can move on.
It's been nice, guys. I'm out of here. So Nirvana was huge for me. I just sort of I'd be remiss if I didn't say Nirvana. I think that was so much of the like blueprint and framework of what I wanted to do and be with music. Like I wanted to make music that meant something to people, and I wanted there to be aspects of it that had, a moral compass and be more than just entertainment. And I think I got that from like Rage Against the Machine and Nirvana and hip hop and um, folk music and stuff. The Beatles, honestly, as well. So I think that those are some big influences today. Some of my favorite artists are St. Vincent and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and Frank Ocean, and I'm really digging the new Chapel Rowan record. I listen to everything. Music's such a huge part of my life, so it's a pretty rabbit hole kind of question to ask. I know a lot of people ask it, but it's I don't want to bore you.
No, I think I'll be honest, Charlie. I think that you and I are similar because I'm in, obviously in the '90s, I was a huge hip hop fan, and I love Nirvana, and I love Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and that whole Seattle scene. So I think we're on the same page.
I was just
yeah, we have similar taste now because I listen to literally everything.
I was just thinking I was just going to leave and let you two guys talk.
Well, it's like for me, it's therapy, and I'm sure you kind of go on those areas as well. Just like, do you find that that's true? Do you go to different types of music in the mood that you're feeling? Is that something you would say?
Yeah, I also I feel lucky that my knowledge of how the sausage is made doesn't ruin music for me. Like I enjoy it. There's still magic to it, even knowing sort of some of the stuff behind the curtain. I still love every aspect of it, and I listen to it just day in and out, day in and day out. Like pretty much my entire life is just soundtrack with music. If I'm doing any sort of chore or traveling or whatever, I have my headphones in. I'm just that kind of person.
It's awesome. I mean,
I can
I
can definitely relate to that for sure. I can't even drive my vehicle without music on.
Yeah, there's no quiet time.
It feels inappropriate or like something's missing if I sort of get in a cab without my headphones for my phone. I'm just like, oh man, I really messed up today because it means I won't be able to sort of zone out and give in to the magic of music.
Yeah, I like to do that in the Ubers. I don't like to talk to the driver. I just rather just listen to my music.
Oh yeah, for sure. And for when you're writing, I mean, your catalog is quite diverse. I mean, for Hotel Mira, do you find that because of your influences, as you mentioned, that's sort of your writing style as well? Do you just sort of put it all together with the rest of the group?
Yeah, I think that I think because I've been making music so long, and my only philosophy really has only ever been like it has to come from the heart and try not to repeat yourself. So, there's really no choice if you have those sort of guidelines in place, that you have no choice but to sort of explore other genres and ideas, and all my favorite groups do that to begin with. Like if you think about Bowie or you think about Radiohead or you think about the Beatles even, you're often faced with this evolution album to album and reinvention, and we're lucky enough to have the fans who want to come with us on that sort of journey and don't get upset that our new record isn't identical to our last record.
Well, you kind of hope that it wouldn't be, right? Like you're going to evolve as a person, as an artist.
You'd be surprised. Plenty of people just want sort of feedback of genre.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that for sure. But I mean, as That's like, our friend Robert Plant not wanting to do Led Zeppelin anymore. He wanted to branch out and do other things like Mad Respect, right?
Yeah.
Even though we'd love to hear more Zeppelin, but I mean, if
he sort of says that's like a chapter that he's already written and he's kind of moved on from it. I think that's kind of where you're going with that, I would suspect.
Yeah, I also just think it's like we evolve as musicians and get better, and our tastes change. There's just nothing for us anymore, and you have to listen to that part of your heart as well, right? If you're like, if I make that kind of music, there won't be like joy and purpose in it for me. That's probably what Robert's getting at.
Yeah,
I think that's probably what he was getting at. I read a quote, a guy, Gary Newman, they asked him once, would you ever go back and like redo Cars or redo, Are My Friends Electric? And he said, no, I've already done that. It's done. I'm not going to go back and do it again.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of mindset that you have?
Completely. And listening to my older projects, I think the only thing that really I can be proud of or excited by was the fact that I was such a different person when I was making it, and that's sort of what appeals to me about like the really early records I made, is the fact that I had sort of the bravado to say such huge things and not really know what I was talking about, but thought I did. Like that's sort of what's interesting about the older chapters to me now. Not necessarily the music itself, but like the piss and vinegar that sort of it took to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come from? Did you have a supportive background, like your family musically inclined? Did it kind of play music around you all the time?
No, they were cool with me being a musician, but it just didn't take up a lot of um, uh, um, wavelength or space in their lives. I was just always in the basement writing songs or writing sketches or writing screenplays or plays or whatever it was. Like I was always just doing my weird little thing in the corner, and people were just like, oh yeah, Charlie's doing whatever. I was pretty shy person, but always really motivated by like the arts and entertainment. Um, and so they sort of let me do my thing and understood that like nothing was gonna stop me.
It's good. It's good.
Cool.
Don't let anything stop you.
No, sir, for sure. Going back to your influences for a second, I was talking with Gus earlier, and Dancing with the Moonlight, correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of find it, for me, had a little bit of a Talking Heads vibe to it. Is that something
no,
I could?
Totally. Yeah. Who is this man? Yeah,
Yes.
definitely
Yes.
David Byrne. Yeah. Like, I love those records. And me and Mike both, when we were writing that song, we were like, he was sort of trying to figure out how to do something that was sort of like the Psycho Killer bass line.
Mm-hmm.
I was sort of trying to give it my best David Byrne. So yeah, I mean, good ear. That's exactly what we were going for.
Well,
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I feel pretty good about myself right now, and I'm done.
Well,
Gus, take over. I've shot my load. I'm done for the podcast.
Do you and Mike do most of the writing?
I write a lot in advance, like sort of the acoustic version of the song, like verse, chorus, most of the lyrics, almost all of the melodies. And then I take whatever that is and I present it to the band, and then the sort of true collaboration of the whole thing comes at that point. So I'm definitely the chief songwriter when it comes to making something out of nothing. But then there's this secondary process of letting it go through all the filters of collaboration.
Very cool. Yeah.
And is that a tough process for you, or is it? Because I know some, if you kind of have, no, this is the way the song is supposed to go, guys. You're not listening to me right now. This is what I have in my head. Does that ever get to the point where you're just kind of like putting your foot down because you see a vision for your song and the guys just aren't getting it?
I've fought for a couple things in the past, but everybody in this band is so uh, talented and free of that typical musician ego. So usually the suggestions are ones that just help the entire song to be better. It's not really driven from this place of, well, I'd feel cooler about my part. I feel like I'd get more attention if we did this, this, and this, right? So also, like, I can't remember um, what I was watching, but there was this concept of like um, one of the best things you can do in a leadership role is understand where somebody exceeds further than you would, and then champion them. So a good example of that is I write some of the guitar parts, but Clark records them, and Clark sort of alters them to make them even better. And I could sort of lean back on my ego and go like, "Hey, you're screwing that up," or I could let go and understand that someone's really excelling at something if I get out of the way. And then at the end of the day, I know what I sort of I'm getting to know what I am really good at. A similar thing is like I have no ear for mixing or where the instrument should sit, or like what's a good drum sound or a bad drum sound. But my bandmates are incredible at it. So there's this amazing process in the studio where I can technically rest for a lot of those discussions and decisions.
Great.
What's been your favorite performance on tour so far?
Sure. Probably headlining and selling out the Commodore Ballroom. I mean,
That's awesome.
I really didn't think we'd make it this far. So I just wanted to be cool to the other sort of local bands, and that never really happened. But this sort of other beautiful thing did. Like, I mean, I've always been an ambitious person, but it was very unlikely that we'd ever make it this far. So just trying to drink that in, like specifically with the Commodore. Like, I used to busk like a block away from it, and some of my favorite gigs I've ever seen, some of the most inspirational moments I've seen in music were like on that stage growing up. So for me, it was
A
I
dream
think
come true.
now that it was very significant. Leading up to it, I had to have all this sort of um, ego armor of like, yeah, whatever, who cares? It's another gig. But now that we've done it, we can all sort of recognize that it was a cool big moment.
Must have been very surreal for you to be up there going, hey, just thinking, hey, fuck,
We grew up there.
I bust down the street from this place and now I'm playing the stage. This is like a very interesting moment in my life.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Significant for sure.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Skill was the main word I was using to describe it. Yeah, it was special. It was special. We have done a lot of really cool things as a group, but yeah, headlining with that many people there, spending money to see us perform, like that's incredible.
Yeah, very cool, man. Super cool. Love hearing that stuff. If there was somebody you could collaborate with, anybody, live or dead, who would it be?
Ooh, live or dead, that opens
It's up to you. You can. It's up to you. You can make that decision.
I really think that if I got in a room with St. Vincent, Annie Clark, we'd make a really cool song together. I mean, or Karen O, same thing. I think like, um, who knows? Maybe I'd just be too busy fangirling, but if I could sort of um, pump the brakes on that, I think I'd make uh, cool music with all those people. But it's a funny thing. You don't really know until you're in a room collaborating what's going to work and what's not. And I've written for some other people now, and I've written with other people, and um, it's a joy, sort of, no matter where somebody's at in their career. So um, I know that question is usually uh, meant to be quite hypothetical and fun, and I've ruined it. But that's
No, we're just looking for an answer, and it doesn't matter.
That was a great answer.
Yeah,
a
for
great
sure.
answer. We appreciate the candor.
yeah, you got it.
Now, but going back to your Beatles tribute band, I need to ask, like, how many songs did you need to have to know for that? Like,
The first time around we did 3, and the second time around we did 5.
no, it's not so many.
Um,
All the big ones?
yeah, I mean, what was crazy is like when I was 11, my brother was on drums. He was the eldest member. He was 13. Um, when I was 11, so it was like we did um, Twist and Shout, Get Back, and um, Hard Day's Night.
Right.
So like, sort of the songs you would expect from kids our age.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes me laugh to this day is the following show. We ended up doing Norwegian Wood, Help, Hide Your Love Away. So and 2 others that are escaping me right now, but like I love the idea of like 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds and 13-year-olds doing Norwegian Wood. Like it's just such a trip. And so
Pretty deep song, actually.
Yeah, but I
Cool.
think it's like such an important band and benchmark in every way of sort of having the Beatles as a playbook. I think a lot of people do, I'm sure, but it's really cool having that be my my in to music in general.
It's a pretty solid base to go into with, for sure.
Yeah,
Well, it's cool to hear, like, your passion for music was at such a young age that you were able to perform and having that bravado just to kind of go out there and do it anyway. I love that.
well, Gus, like there was nothing else in my life that sort of ignited me or I cared about. I was really, really shy. Things were sort of tough at home and in some sort of strange ways, and I had an amazing mentor of a guitar teacher, and just music was an escape, but it was also purpose and validation and research and development. And the idea of like playing good shows and writing good songs and how that could maybe take me somewhere someday. It was just it was all consuming. It's all I wanted to do, and I wasn't good at all.
Starting out, hopefully, because I'm liking the stuff we're hearing now. So if that's not good, then holy shit.
It's phenomenal.
Well, it's a testament to sort of persistence and ambition and hard work and progress. And I was watching a movie last night where they said obsession will outweigh talent every time, and that's sort of
Sandman.
how I feel.
Sandman.
Yeah, exactly.
He went back to his roots.
Always, yeah.
Well, it's a great movie. You should watch it.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, it's about basketball. It's a good one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you working on musically right now? As your tour, are you just sort of are you trying to write in between, or are you just kind of doing your shows and enjoying it for a bit?
No, usually we uh time things in this weird way where like we're playing songs that aren't released whatsoever in the set, and it's like feels like we're in two different worlds at once, and we're sort of avoiding that and just sort of being um uh immersed in the like I'm not myself era, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
Oh, those kids. What do they know? Now, I read a part of a story. I didn't read the whole thing because I had to work today. But there was an article about you playing over in Liverpool,
Yeah.
and you hit your head
Mhm.
and continued on for the whole set with you're pretty much bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It's pretty rock and roll, actually.
I
Yeah.
think the third and final time I had sort of a bleeding head injury in a show. I performed. I've been known to perform pretty hard, but um, yeah, what ended up happening, it was very accidental. That time, I there was my drummer's bass drum kept sort of inching forward, and there was nothing blocking it from doing so. So a stagehand went and took like a metal box that I guess had like a sharp edge to it, and
Mhm.
put that in front of the drum kit. And I didn't see it, and I guess I like um uh you know uh fell down to the ground at some point and just caught my head and bled all over the place. Yeah, I'm sort of through with my Iggy Pop self injury era. I think it's really cool, and I get that it made sense, and it's not like I was trying to bleed at every show or anything, but I guess today I just understand um, the self destructive impulses that were sort of congruent with that as I was doing it, and so I don't really want to. Uh, yeah, I don't really want to do that anymore.
Makes sense. How are you guys managing to maintain your musical integrity while being commercially successful? Because it's sort of you're definitely you're a bigger band now. Obviously, you feel like you're in a band that's almost like a super group. It sounds like because of the fact that your journey to this point has now put you with bandmates that are amazing, and you're all on the same page, and there's no ego involved. How do you guys maintain that integrity?
I think maybe it is because we've all been at it for so long, and we understand what it means to not take things for granted, not rush things, and not do things just because they're the trend of the moment. I've never chased a trend in my life. When I went to make rock music, everybody's quitting their band to make dubstep and EDM. So I was like, okay, I guess I just make this dinosaur music, whatever. And then the world in recent years has come around to really champion rock music again. So I think it just comes from that, just like whatever we're doing, it's like it's always going to be from the heart. And I don't know what the compromises would even be on paper. And I also think that there's a sort of private hell when you make something uh, that doesn't feel right to you, uh, with the sole purpose of thinking that's what, you know, the masses want. Um, I would never want to sort of um, play down to people. I I want to respect our audience and challenge them and give them cool stuff the way that you know good filmmaking is and good music is and good literature is, right? Um, because like I said, the sort of private hell aspect is like, well, when that sort of gamble doesn't take off, like, where are you? You're where you were but worse, because now you're playing all these songs that you don't believe in to people who don't like them, who thought you were like you know, talking down to them.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Now, here's a question: you guys write all your own music? Is there? And you've done covers, obviously, with the Beatles and stuff.
Yeah.
How hard is it for you to like to if you're gonna choose a song to cover? Do you know you have to sit there back and go, okay, well, this means something to me. I'm not just going to cover it because it's popular.
Right. Yeah, of course. The other day I did a duet with Kevy from Fake Shark, as you know, as radio promo. We did Time After Time by Cyndi Lauper, which has been my brother's favorite or second favorite song forever. And I think somebody just suggested it out of the blue when I was doing a TikTok live and just, you know, playing and taking requests and stuff for fun. Somebody was like, "Oh, do Time After Time," and I remembered how much I loved that song, and I asked Kevy about it, and we learned it, and it went really well. And so yeah, definitely picking covers is uh, tricky, but I think if you're passionate about any song and you try and put your stamp on it, that's probably going to be a good cover. Like the entire point of sort of doing anything in an artistic medium is inspiring another person to take a shot and put their own spin on something. So um, yeah, as a total music nerd, I love doing covers.
Cool.
It's a great answer.
Yeah, I love it's just, and time after time.
But just the way that he mentioned, like, you know, you're putting music out there and it's respectful to get covers made of you and also doing covers. I think that's awesome. Like,
It's
that's
the
great.
ultimate sort of flattering thing. Like fans of our band will occasionally cover Hotel Mira things and send them to me, and it's like it warms my heart in this way that's like hard to explain, because you know you just write these songs in a basement hoping people will one day hear them, maybe learn the lyrics, maybe come to a show. But it takes a lot of work and dedication to sit down and learn an entire song. You know, time is precious, attention is precious. So um, yeah, it's quite the flattering um, action
cool.
to cover somebody.
Now, I'll ask you another question along the same vein that I like to ask a lot. Now, yes, having somebody cover your song is a very, very big thing.
Yeah.
How does it compare to, say, being at a concert and having them singing the song back to you?
I think, hmm, I think pretty equal. I love the give and take between audience and performer that happens with live music. I don't think there's anything like it, and I'm so flattered and excited that that's such a big part of our show is the crowd participation. Um, and so that's like an amazing aspect. Um, and somebody covering uh, your song is it's sort of apples and oranges, but they're both an amazing part of being in a band if you're lucky.
Oh, it's actually funny that you were going to ask that because I thought you would. It's a good one. What's your favorite song from the current album? Or do you have a favorite in your catalog?
I think off the latest record, Age of Detachment is I think a very like strange, oddball, cool song that ends the album, and one that I think people should give a second chance if they've only really listened to it a couple times, because I think it's really special.
Cool.
Now, when do you do the single thing, or do you like concentrate on doing a whole album when you guys are recording?
It's a bit of both. I think at one point, another musician said to me, like, your album, I think what you should try is writing an album where every song could be the single. Every song like has an anthemic aspect or catchy hooks or what have you. So, um, uh, you know, we just write a collection of songs and record them. But I love the format of albums. So I guess we're lucky enough to sort of do both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I find like a lot of the up and coming artists, not like yourselves, you guys are more seasoned, but they have challenges getting traction when they put out a whole album. So they have to release it as a single and then go from there.
What I've heard is the landscape at this point, where people are sort of discouraged from putting out a full length, and until they have an audience to consume it. And I don't know where I land with that. I think I'm gonna give a real sort of um, hippy dippy kind of response to the whole thing, and just tell people that like none of that matters, and make what you want to make. If it's an album that three people listen to, but you feel that like artistically that's what you needed to do, that's probably what you should be doing, and maybe more people will listen to the next one.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
Well, for the two of us, we love the album concept for sure. Like,
oh, thanks.
Yeah, we're also a bit older too.
Yeah,
so kind of
some of us are a bit older than
we can pay attention.
Yeah, we have that attention span. When you're putting the album together, you said "Age of Detachment" was the last song. Was that on purpose? Do you actually purposely say, "Okay, guys, we have this many songs. This one should be first. We should put this one." Do you think about that at all when you're putting the album together?
Oh, totally. Yeah, we have to, especially with the "I'm Not Myself" record. We really made an effort to sort of understand how it was going to be structured, because it jumps through so many genres. We were like, we had to look at the track list a lot to sort of be like, well, this one can't go into this one. Like, that's going to be too jarring. Pretty early on in the recording process, we were like, okay, age is probably the only place age could kind of go is at the very end. And Everything Once, I think, is the strongest opener, and then from there we sort of built the track listing in between. But yeah, especially with this new record, the track listing was super important because of how much it jumps around and feels like a mixtape.
Cool.
So what do you like to do in your free time when you're maybe on tour or outside of music?
I love watching movies and reading books and uh, hanging with friends and writing and yeah, just pretty normal guy. Like it's not a pretty pretty shitty rock star, honestly. Just
You had your
not,
you had your
not,
you had you had your
not
bloody
really.
heads moments, like
You had your Iggy Pop moments, and now you're more into your more,
well,
older, more sophisticated.
So what I would get from that is maybe are you an introvert when you're not on stage?
Oh, incredibly, yeah. I think that's maybe one of the only moments where uh, I've ever felt close to comfortable with crowds or light up a room or whatever. I don't carry myself in that way.
Yeah, you must feel like you have that's like your outlet of getting your energy out and your artistic
Yeah,
self out,
I don't really think I'd even be doing a, a sort of profession where all the eyes were on me if I hadn't started so young. I think my um, personality is sort of like geared towards the opposite. But there's this interesting lane with performing live where I love doing it, and for the most part, I'm comfortable doing it. But like, I can't host a party. I can't show up somewhere and like be the most comfortable, storyteller or whatever. It really is reserved for um, if everybody's paid money to face the same direction and have me perform.
That's true.
So, with that being said, how is it when the show is over and people want to chat with you?
It's usually just really flattering. It's a bit of a Superman to Clark Kent moment. I think a lot of people don't even like recognize me. um, but it's cool. It's very hard to calm down after a show. It's like hard to fall asleep and stuff.
Right. Because I know like introverts, they get really, really drained, really, really, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're up on stage, you're giving it, you're all on stage, and then you come off and you got Dawg and Gus. Hey man, that was a great show. Will you come talk to us for an hour? And you're like, shit.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
Well, this is pre-show, right? Do you have a show tonight?
No, we've got some time off, which is great because it's time to do press and things like that. So got a few days off in Calgary to yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Cool. Now, do you have a favorite venue that you've played over the years, or you're excited for one that you're coming to?
Maybe the Mercury Lounge in New York City. We played a couple of years ago. The Troubadour in LA.
Cool.
Those were both pretty bucket listy for me.
Well, they're iconic, right? So
yeah, for sure. Are you guys and you're based out of LA now? How does where you live to affect, like, does that affect your career in any way, in a good way or bad way?
I think so. I think it affects it in a good way. LA is this land of transplant dreamers, and I think that's infectious. And I'd rather be around that than sort of be in a place where sort of, in my experience, ambition was sort of frowned upon.
That makes sense.
there's a few ambitious people in LA.
Well,
Yeah,
I thought that was such a great way to say it. It's a land of dreamers, and it's
for sure.
When I was there in 2019, right before the big C, but we basically went to beaches all the time, and it was just such a lifestyle. It was fresh fruit everywhere. I just found like it was just an amazing vibe to it. Always sunny. I don't know, just like
it's funny
wild.
to me. It's funny to me too because like people will be like, "Oh, LA, like it's so vapid, it's so fake," and it's like please name me a city that isn't like like LA's like at least they're upfront, I think, about their reputation of yeah, you know, being a bit shallow, but um I think having that be the social contract makes um everything less confusing for me.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you think, as an artist, that you have an obligation to speak out on like some of the hot topics that are out there? I don't. I could throw out a whole bunch of them, but do you think that artists should be talking? I'm not going to say politics because that's just the one. That's a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. But
No politics on this show.
yeah, no politics on this show. We've agreed on that.
Okay.
You know, but like say maybe I don't know.
Equal rights and whatever.
Equal rights,
like, yeah.
bullying. Like, you know, do you think that it's an artist's obligation to speak out, or just to
write about it,
or just to keep your opinions to yourself?
I think it's case by case basis. Like what did you get into music for? Sort of comes to mind with that question. Personally, I think yes. I think you know what I don't know what the point is of being in a rock band if you're not trying to speak truth to power. Um, yeah, it's just that's how I've always felt, and my moral compass has always mattered more to me than quote unquote success in the industry. So 100%, and I think that I've definitely lost opportunities or pissed people off um, by being vocal or stringent in what I believe. But that's how I'm going to sleep well at night is knowing that um, I tried to make some sort of symbolical difference and didn't just like play fiddle while Rome burned.
Fair enough.
No, that's a great.
No, that's
again.
that's you know what? That's why I asked the question.
No, it was a good question. You know, in that sense, like, sorry, how would you like describe? Like, there's so many people that describe music in genres and such, but how would you describe your style of music?
I'd say it's an indie rock band. Like I'd say, I know that's quite like the umbrella term, but a lot of my favorite acts are like from that garage rock revival of the White Stripes and the Hives and the Strokes and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and TV on the Radio and LCD Sound System, and so like a lot of that stuff is some of my favorite music, and I think it's hard to sort of describe your band in a sentence, especially when there's an eclectic nature to it. I try to write about things that matter, and then I try to make it catchy. Yeah, it's the best I got for you.
Appreciate that.
I think eclectic should be a genre.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
My brother said the other day that we were like the Cure for Zoomers.
There you
Like,
go.
The Smiths are the Cure for Zoomers, is what my brother said.
I like
Very
that.
insightful.
I like that. I love.
That's pretty good.
I
yeah.
love the Smiths.
Yeah.
Me too.
Was there anything in particular that inspired you when you wrote Alone in America? Obviously, we've seen the video and it sort of has its own thing, but because you're Canadian, of course, and you are from
Yeah,
BC, so
yeah, I grew up in Hawaii a bit too, so I've always sort of had a foot in each. What in particular inspired Alone in America? I think a couple different tours and visits and spending more time there. Um, uh, Falling in love there a bit, I think was significant. Um, the the chunk about Waco, were you born and raised? I think that the idea of like what went on in Waco, Texas, and just honestly like a lot of the mythology and iconography of America is just mind blowing, and that it all takes place under this same umbrella is just uh, wild. I think it's um, I I appreciate it, and I'm sort of like uh, in awe of sort of the carnage of it, and then the ability to sort of look out for each other through that carnage, and just sort of how strange and surreal it can be. But I think that's everywhere. I think mostly with that song, it's sort of a statement of that people are just people, and there's good people and bad people everywhere. But America's mythology, and I suppose Western mythology of like um, the self-made man, and sort of pull up your bootstraps and all of that nonsense, um, just struck me as so false. And that song is about how everything happens um, in a community, and by working with each other. Um, you know, we can have our way forever all together now is something I repeat a few different times in that song. But yeah, so that's sort of it's less about um, that country, the sort of iconography that I play with in the lyrics, the sort of Springsteenisms and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's sort of the Trojan horse to talk about what's really important in that song is uh, how abandoned people can feel in general, and how the sort of the mythology of like one person making things happen, and how we should all worship that is really dangerous and false. Whew! How's that for an answer?
Amazing.
That was a great soundbite.
That was amazing. Being like, since you said Hawaii, now you're in LA. Do you surf?
Yeah, not well. I surfed a bit
I fell in love with it. That's why I asked.
as a kid. My friend Newman's always trying to get me to go, and I feel like I should. I
You got the
crowd
stoke?
surf
You
now.
got the stoke, bro?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
I had to do it. Sorry.
no. Yeah, if I'd like to get back into it.
Cool.
Well, when you have a day off and you've got nothing better to do,
Well,
go surfing.
Yeah. Well, he seems like, I mean, you're connected to nature and you're in a great place for it. And then
Yeah.
I think it's so important that, like you said earlier about LA, there's, what city isn't fake? And then you go to certain parts of Los Angeles, and I fell in love with many parts because of the ocean and the beaches and the people and the type of, it was just amazing. And it was very diverse, and I just loved it.
I think
I could
people
live
in
there.
LA know that they're fake, and that's
But
what I mean.
But some of them aren't. Many people aren't, and that's the thing that he mentioned that I really enjoyed was that it's such a like everybody's like a nation of dreamers. Like I think that was just such a great answer, and maybe you should ask him our
question.
Yeah, because I know the answer.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah, he's totally gonna say.
Oh, yeah?
my era. But
Is he?
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
So. I don't know though. I don't know.
I'm not going to
Well,
ask.
sorry,
him
Charlie. We'll leave you in a minute, but we've got to ask you one more.
No,
question.
Charlie, we've asked this since the very beginning, the very first podcast we did, asking when we were talking to artists, if you had to pick a decade of music or a decade of music to listen to, 80s or 90s?
Oh man, that's so much harder than than you'd think. What about
Nope.
60s and 70s? What about
see, we left it at that because
everything after?
So the reason we asked the question is Dawg is an 80s guy and I'm a 90s guy. So like, and the reason being is the music that I enjoyed. I do love 80s music too, but the music I particularly am drawn to is the 90s, and Dogs prefers the 80s. So that's why we ask it. And
Well,
you can only pick the two.
I think
One
it's
of the two.
tricky. I think it's tricky because like the way that like Batman and his villains are like the coolest part of DC Comics, but then Marvel kind of has everyone else. Like
I feel like this is going to be one of the best answers we've gotten.
Best fucking answer already.
so it's like I love Nirvana and 90s hip hop, but it's I think it's just too tempting to go with all my favorite like new wave acts from the 80s that sort of really inspired the band that I'm in. I think I have to go 80s. But
shocker.
Okay,
with the caveat that sort of Nirvana is the Batman.
And you said you liked hip hop in the 90s?
I did.
Okay, who's your go-to?
I pretty much like hip hop in every era. I think that's like sort of the funniest thing about like people pointing out my lyricism as something that's good. It's just like compared to like other rock musicians, I've probably just listened to more hip hop than they have.
I get that. I get that, especially with your timing and stuff. The one thing, who's the greatest 90s rapper?
Oh man.
And then I'll leave you alone, I promise.
In Charlie's opinion.
The greatest 90s rapper? Well,
Or you can do a top 3.
Andre 3000.
Ooh, great choice.
Yeah.
You did. That's not what you were expecting, was it?
No, but he is like, I love Outkast.
I know.
And his lyrics are phenomenal.
Like Pac and Biggie are sort of like a very like, of course they're amazing, but just Andre 3000, I gotta say him because it's like not only the 90s, then I think he's the best to this day.
Yeah, he's definitely top 5 for me. Even Eminem says so. So
well, there you go.
For me, it's Nas. I got Nas on my list.
Oh,
but
Nas. Yeah, absolutely. Like breaking down, Ghostface Killer.
Wu-Tang for sure. All the whole group basically.
Tribe is insane. Q-Tip.
Tribe's my
like
favorite.
I said at the beginning of the podcast.
Well, Charlie and I could have another discussion.
Of course you could.
When we go see you at SAW on the 18th, we'll chat more. But you'll be exhausted. We do appreciate your time tonight, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. You should get a hold of Kevy from Fake Shark as well.
Yes, because their names come up a couple of times. The shows that are playing in Ottawa, and I'm just like, I wrote it down actually. I have it right here.
Okay, cool.
That I want to check out their stuff.
Amazing,
big time, and I think you would have lots to talk about.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Thank you, Charlie. Just stay with us just for a sec after we stop, and then we'll go from there.